Jimmy Garoppolo, I know he's gone, but I want to talk about, he's on the team for freaking 2 more days. So let's talk 3.
That's right.
According to reports, the Texans and the Raiders are interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. Boy, that's really got to be what their fans want to hear. Where do you think Jimmy ends up? And is that going to be a good call for wherever team signs him? Steph, why don't you start this one? You're first. And then Crystal, and then you, Miriah.
Okay, so where does Jimmy Garoppolo go? Don't care. Don't care. For the first year, like I absolutely don't care what happens with Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's a great feeling. Like, okay, yeah, he had some good years here. Thank you for your time. But on we go, we move.
Deuces.
So good for him that he has a market. I think the market ended up shaking out pretty well for him, at least so far, the way it's looking like. He's going to get some choices out there, and so that's good for him. Way better than last season, at least. So, congrats on wherever he ends up. I think all those options will be fine for him. I don't see him really doing much on those teams, like the Raiders.
Hater.
Dude, the Raiders, okay. Like if Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the haters, yeah. I mean to the Raiders. It's a great system, for him to work with. He has familiarity with it. But the Raiders are always a mess, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like what in actuality will he really get to do with them? I mean, the Patriots are an option as well, but kind of the same deal. They're kind of in a holding pattern. And the Texans, it would be awesome to see him back with DeMeco Ryans and some of those guys, but they have a lot of work to do, and so really any situation that he goes in, it's going to be a tough one, I think, to really make any noise. And let's face it, his best years as far as production goes, as far as the receivers and supporting cast that he has, those days are behind him. Not that he can't get to a point on these teams where it can improve, but he had it good in San Francisco, let's face it.
Right. Only other thing that I really want to add to what she said, because she pretty much covered it, is onward and upward, and I wish him the best of luck. I will say that he's going to get PAID paid because Daniel Jones just got PAID paid. So Jimmy got lucky because the market is, wow, it's better than I thought it was going to be right now. So wherever he winds up, whether it's the Texans, whether it's the Raiders, whether it's the Patriots, because apparently there's this Mac Jones thing that's out there that's flopping around out there in the atmosphere about that he might wind up going to the Raiders. And so you just never know what.
You said there's a Mac Jones thing flopping around the atmosphere. That sounds awful. That sounds terrifying. I don't want to see. I don't want any part of that.
I don't want to see it.
Mac Jones is bad enough, but that sounds even worse.
But so
I'm with you.
So there's Miami has stored up on all this money, and this other team, I forgot the other team, is doing the same thing. So Jimmy, wherever he goes, another thing that Steph is right about, he's not going to have it any better as far as the immersion and talent that was on the offense as he had here in San Francisco, regardless of where he goes. So, good luck to him and everything. And the team that he goes to, they're going to be okay, with him. But, it's going to be what it is. Good luck, Jimmy.
I think if Mac Jones doesn't get traded to the Raiders, that Jimmy will end up in Las Vegas, which I will hate because that means I have to look at Jimmy's face plastered all over my city for the next how many ever years. So there's that. I've been thinking that he's going to end up in Vegas, though, for the last year and a half.
I really hope the Raiders draft Hendon Hooker so you can see Hooker jerseys around Vegas all day.
That'll be perfect.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see that. That would be money. It'd be perfect. He got to go to the Raiders. Hooker jerseys all over town. Got to see that.
And I do think that Jimmy will have his best weapons, the best team anyway on offense here in Vegas, with obviously we know who the Raiders have on offense and the Texans don't have anybody. So I think that this will be the best place for him. I I don't know how I feel that I have to still look at him every day that I wake up and see his face everywhere. But yeah, wherever he goes, as long as it's not with the 49ers.
For DeMeco's sake, I really hope the Texans don't sign him. It seems like that's a disaster way to start your tenure. Yeah. Don't draft a quarterback with the second pick and sign Jimmy. Like, dude, that's what Kyle did. It said, like, don't do that. Don't do that. So if the Raiders want to make that mistake, great. And it might be the best thing the Raiders can do because they're picking 7th. So it's either sign Jimmy or like draft Will Levis. Those aren't great options. Right. So, but DeMeco, man, like, don't pass on Bryce Young or CJ Stroud so you can sign Jimmy. Like, please, don't do that. So that's all I'm going to say. Jimmy, don't ruin DeMeco. DeMeco, don't let Jimmy do that to you. You've already seen him do it once. Ladies, what do you think? What do you ladies feel? Did Kyle actually want Trey or was he overridden? Like, did he want Mac Jones and the organization say no? What do you think? Feel?
I think it was his choice, but the more time that goes on, the more confusing that is, right? Like, it doesn't. I don't know why. Like, I can't figure out the reasoning because it almost seems like Trey is the exact opposite of everything that he wants in a quarterback because it's almost like as soon as he saw Brock Purdy out there, his eyes kind of lit up. He was getting sleep again. He didn't have the big bags under his eyes. It just kind of, and Brock Purdy is the type of quarterback he usually goes for. And it was kind of like, again, this whole reality TV thing, this love triangle, right? He was trying to go outside of his comfort zone a little bit and think like, this is the right thing for me. This is going to take us to the next level. But in actuality, it almost like he needed to convince himself. And the more time that goes on, it's like he's trying to walk that back a little bit. That's the sense that I get. But I think it was Kyle's choice. I mean, no one overrides Kyle. He has, I think, the final say in pretty much everything. So it was his choice, as confusing as I think it looks at this point.
I think it's possible that Jed sat down Kyle and was like, look, Kyle, if you want Mac Jones, that's fine. But everyone's going to say we're racist, including you. Do you want that? And Kyle's like, why? What are you talking about? He's like, have you been reading Twitter? And he's like, no, I don't read Twitter. He's like, they're saying you're racist and that you don't like black quarterbacks. He's like, whoa, what are you talking about? I don't feel that way. Because he probably doesn't. And so he probably was like, well, I don't want to be viewed as a racist, even though I like Mac Jones. And so he didn't take Mac Jones, which is like, thank God, because Mac Jones would have been a freaking horrendous pick. But I don't really know deep down that Kyle really had conviction about this one. Just saying, I don't know. Is it fair to say? Because I mean, it was getting testy when people really thought the Niners traded up for Mac Jones. People were losing their mind. Here he goes again. He only likes white quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins and Mac. It's like there's kind of something to that. And he's like, whoa, I don't need that reputation.
But Kyle doesn't strike me as a guy that would change his mind or do something differently based on outside opinion. Well,
that was a pretty tough one, though. Remember he was saying, like, hey, when I'm at Safeway, will you guys leave me alone? When I'm at my kid's soccer game, you guys leave me. Remember that offseason? That was crazy. Good times. Good times. Anyway, Fish and Chip says, I warned you I'm coming after the head coach room in 2023. Hey, man, if you're in year 7 as a head coach and you haven't won a Super Bowl, it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So no one told you this season was going to be this way. Your right tackle's a joke. Quarterback's broke. 6 rings DOA. Thank you, official Band Am Music. I had to sing it. That was good. Sorry. David McNiner says Jimmy is a term of endearment. We ain't Holmes anymore, so it's James Garoppolo. Oh, he ain't got to go home, but he ain't staying here. That's right. James Richard, thank you for your service. Fish and Chips coming from the UK says, Grant, way out of your depth with the ladies. Keep up. I'm trying. It's 3 against 1.